Ricky.
And I'm Joe, and this is Season 8, Episode 5 of the Beer and Broadband Podcast, slated to come out on May 12th, 2025. I was like, is it March? Is it March? Is that the
Back
M
in
month?
time.
We're going backwards, but it's May 12th, 2025. And we're going to talk about video games and Wicked Weed's Milk and Cookies Imperial Stout. So this is an 8.7% ABV beer. I've had it before, but I haven't had it like recently. It says with hints of freshly baked cinnamon raisin cookies and notes of cold milk with sweet vanilla. Milk and Cookies Imperial Stout reminds us of the comfort of home. And I haven't taken a sip of it. I bought this 4-pack. Or was it a 6-pack? I bought whatever the amount of beer that comes in the pack of Milk and Cookies so that we could sit down and talk about it on this podcast like a month and a half ago. So, here you go.
It is a very good beer. There is definitely that mouthfeel of milk in it, which is really nice. There is a little bit of cinnamon and vanilla. I'm not sure I'd go as far as to say that's identifiably a cookie, but it is a very good beer. You know, I could definitely just see this being something like you could just call it like a spiced milk stout.
I agree, except it's not exactly what they said. They called it Milk and Cookies, but it's...
I guess I'm just not getting I do get cinnamon. I could maybe be... Once it warms up, I could maybe see there being raisin.
Cinnamon,
but
raisin on the aftertaste, and a little bit of chocolate in the flavor, and then the creaminess of milk.
Yeah. But then, like, here's the thing, and this is where I get a little pedantic maybe. When you call a particular item, like when we had, like, the pumpkin pie ones for, like, the Halloween we do, a lot of those, if they do them well, do taste like a pumpkin pie.
Yes.
It's not that it tastes like pumpkin, it tastes like pumpkin pie, the item. This does not taste like Milk and Cookies. This has... I mean, okay. Throwing it out here, if we're going to get culinary. We're talking vanilla, oats, raisins, and milk. That could just be oatmeal.
Yeah.
You know? Like, that could just be, if it was fine oats, that could be like a pancake. You know, like there's a lot of things those ingredients could be that all taste different. I taste those ingredients. I don't taste a cookie.
Exactly. The description describes tasting the ingredients. The description does not describe a cookie. I don't know why they call it Milk and Cookies. That was kind of what I was going at, because like it, and I've had this one before, and I thought the same thing at that time too. It really tastes like chocolate. There's an aftertaste of raisin. There's like an oat flavor to it. There's the stout bitterness, and then there's the creaminess of milk that kind of comes along with it.
So, great beer. Love the beer. Don't like the name. Don't like the name.
Not a great name.
That's how petty we're getting here on Beer and Broadband.
I mean, we were just talking like a few minutes ago about how, like, the last 2 seasons, we've had some beers that weren't like knock out of the parks, but we haven't had anything that we've just been like, I'm not going to drink that, or I'm not going to find some way to drink that. You know, even those ones that were the founders' experimental beers that we had last season that were like the Citrus Sunrise and the Tequila, whatever. We found like a way that we kind of enjoyed it when we did some like seltzer experiments and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we have been on a pretty good run. I like kind of where the craft beer in this area is, because it is kind of, I mean, early days we had beers we just threw out. Yeah. Like you took a sip to tell people what you thought about it, and then you were not going to take another sip.
Or ones that I'd punish myself drinking.
Yeah.
Like the Lagunas Maximus, the one that had like the really hoppy.
I was actually going to bring that up. I think that's another thing as well, is when we first started this podcast, we did not really drink together very much before then. I do think we've really dialed in like common styles that we enjoy.
Yes.
Yeah. You know,
if I see a fruit beer, I'm grabbing a fruit beer.
Yeah.
If I see an IPA, I'm steering clear of that. Anyway, because I do generally the shopping for this, you know. But yeah, you're right. Like I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just
no, you're good.
Yeah. It's hard, like with this beer, right? Like because I love Wicked Weed. Right, Wicked Weed's great. They're awesome. I don't necessarily always like the way that they name their stuff. They have a beer called French Toast that I love, and it does taste like French toast. It tastes like that kind of like breakfast like kind of thing. But This one just doesn't. It doesn't taste like that, but it's a good beer. So if you're looking for something that has those notes in it and something that you want to explore, it's a really good beer to do that with. Now, are we going to let this one warm up and see?
Yeah, I think we should.
What happens with it?
I think that's part of the process now.
That's just what we do.
This is what we do now.
Yeah. All right. Hey, I know you follow video game news. I know you follow the Switch 2. We have not talked anything about, and I've avoided talking about Switch 2 pre-orders, supply chain issues, stuff like that. Except we hinted it on one episode talking about tariffs, right? The Switch 2 has gone out for pre-orders. People have pre-ordered.
Yep.
There were shenanigans.
Yep.
I'm going to let you give your opinion about that, and then I'll come back in and talk a little bit about it myself.
I do think it really highlights where I think the economy is most concerned about a lot of stuff going on. It's that what is the impact of supply chain on very, very high demand products? Like Switch 2 is sold out everywhere. They're not even sure they can produce as many, much less what price point, where they're going to get them into whatever countries, what the economic landscape is going to look like in those countries when they're trying to import them. But look, I don't want to say I'm surprised, but I guess I kind of am a little bit of how just sold out, like just how popular Switch 2 is. Because on paper, it's not that massive an upgrade. It is an upgrade, don't get me wrong, but it's still not as good as the Steam Deck, and it's now much more expensive, and the games are going to be more expensive. But man, people want them, and that's great for those people. That's great for the companies that produce them. And overall, it's great for the video game industry that people are still so dialed in, and especially with like a lot of places also doing, like GameStop was doing, like in-person pre-orders and stuff like that. You get all these videos, people lines out the door, really excited to pre-order this stuff. So cool, great. But man, it's gotta suck to be Nintendo a little bit, because I wonder if the reason things are so much more expensive and stuff is they were just like, look, we just gotta. Who knows if tariffs are gonna be in place? We just gotta price it in just in case.
Yeah.
Because I have a hard time justifying the price increase for the performance increase, especially compared to the OLED.
Yeah, I mean the fact that it doesn't have an OLED, not even talking about the hardware, right?
Yeah.
Like just the shenanigans that went on. But going to that topic, the fact that it doesn't, the stats on it, they're disappointing. I have heard and I have listened to all sorts of tech YouTubers talking about it, and they're trying to spin it. So it's like, yeah, you should buy a Switch 2 because that's what they do. They sell you stuff on behalf of these companies. They got to go to these places. And some of them, I feel like maybe the hands-on is like really amazing, and it really does do some upscaling, and it's got an NVIDIA chip in it that's a more modern chip, so it's got a little bit of ray tracing, it's got a little bit of this, it's got a little bit of that. So there are ways now with newer technology that they could be, implementing something that will move it forward in terms of like performance. And I will give it another positive as far as the hardware goes. While it's not as powerful as a Steam Deck, we're talking about an ARM chip that's running gaming performance that's better than most Android phones.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
it's not doing bad. Like, it's not bad hardware. I kind of expected more. I will say I was excited a little bit about the NVIDIA chip, less because of the features on the chip and more because I think where Nintendo really struggles is it's hard to justify making a Nintendo game.
Yes.
In the sense that it's such a different hardware platform. Anything that gets ported to Nintendo, like you made it for Xbox, now it's got to go to Nintendo. You made it for PC and you want to take it to Nintendo. It's a lot of work. Now, granted, from what I've heard, the like Nintendo support for like doing stuff like that is great. They'll help you, but like it's a very different hardware platform to develop on. Whereas maybe now having some of the things like the NVIDIA chips, that might get a little bit easier. I don't know if that's actually the case because I don't get deep into the engines like that.
They were using Tegra for the last one, and the engine for them should be similar. I don't know. I'm not like a developer for them, but I follow that. Like, I'm a hardware nerd.
Yeah.
So it's not. That's why it's also backwards compatible like that. Even though they're using like an emulation layer to like be able to do the Switch emulation, kind of like what they did between the Wii U and the Wii. The Switch 2 is essentially I don't want to say it like that. It's using it's like if you were using an x86 platform. I don't know what you would call this NVIDIA, but it's like an ARM V whatever,
Yeah, yeah.
platform. It's the same sort of ARM platform.
Yeah, I just know that like one of the reasons why ports to Switch kind of historically have not been great is because of like engine level issues
Right.
that I'm now having like, with an Nvidia card. Maybe you don't have to worry about as much. Like
But
there's not as many of those gotchas.
They had an NVIDIA card in the Switch.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, the was running a Tegra chip, and this is not a Tegra. This is whatever their new version is, but it's just a more
It's that
powerful
same
version
line.
of the
Gotcha.
same line.
Yeah, no, yeah. I just know because they didn't have like the like I know like some consoles are now looking at getting like RTXs and things like that put into them
Yeah,
for like closer to like PC chipsets to help with compatibility.
yeah, and that's one of the reasons that the PlayStation 5 is so powerful is because it uses an x86 custom AMD chip with RT cores and
Yep.
custom GPU and stuff like that. That's why the Xbox is so powerful,
Yep.
and that's why they're so different to develop for, because it's more like a PC to develop for the Xbox or the PlayStation
Yep.
versus the Switch, which is
It's kind of its own little contained thing.
yeah, it's like but if you've taken yours and you've modded it for Android or iPhone, then you have a closer engine base for your game, on the Switch.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of things like Balatro or Dave the Diver or stuff
That's
like
true.
that.
Yeah, you see a lot of mobile games make it over to Switch.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I said Dave the Diver. Dave the Diver isn't, but Vampire Survivors
Yeah.
was able to make it over to those like things. Elder Scrolls Blades was able to make it over to those things because they're already developed for ARM chips and they're easier ports to make.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. All right. So Switch 2 pre-ordered.
Yep.
Sold out.
Mm-hmm.
Evidently, their brilliant idea to stop people from scalping it didn't happen. Like, wasn't able to stop people from scalping it. There's already people scalping it.
Yeah, of
People
course.
just basically like figured out how they could buy two, started buying two, then bought three or four, and are selling the rest, or they just bought it to scalp. I wonder though, because I feel like there was a group of people that were just like, I don't know, Saudi prince, whatever. It's just like, I'm going to get me a PlayStation. I have to have a PlayStation 5. I don't care how much it costs, right? And so the scalpers are the people that are selling it to them, right? And they've got like 5 PlayStation 5s. So they're going to have like 10 Switches. They'll have them in different colors and stuff like that. Versus me and you. I'm not going to go out and buy a scalped Switch.
No.
I doubt that anybody I know in this neighborhood is going to go out and buy a scalped Switch too.
Exactly. It's too much money. We never bought our original Switch. Like a lot of scalping was going on. We waited till we were able to find one in a store. We're not going to pay the double the price for it and stuff like that.
No.
But I will say, I think a lot of these like consumer protection things for scalping don't work
No.
because scalpers work in groups a lot of times.
Yep.
So like they'll just get everyone in their family to go get one. They'll get every one of their friends they know to go get one. They'll pay them $50 and they'll make out, or $100, and they'll still make quite a bit of profit. The only thing that I think really works is what Steam did, and I really like it, where you just order it through Steam, and it was like, I want my Steam Deck, and they're like, cool, here's where you are on the release schedule. You'll get it around then.
Yep.
Because I can still buy it at that price, and I don't mind waiting the months, because I'm not going to buy the scalped one anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to wait the months anyway.
And if somebody that's a scalper got in first, you're just in line behind them.
Yeah, exactly. You're just in line behind them. And there's not really a market for scalping Steam Decks because of the way they set that up.
And I think so. I mean, not that we're Valve fanboys or anything like that. I like the Steam Deck hardware. I like the experience of playing it. I have one. I didn't buy the OLED. I have my original Steam Deck and I've modded it and done all that stuff, but I haven't done any of those other things. As a matter of fact, probably if I bought another one, I might buy like a used version of one of the other slightly more powerful, like devices that do have an OLED screen in it, but that are able to run games at higher frame rates and stuff like that. Like, well, the ROG Ally X doesn't have a OLED in it, but you know what I'm saying, like something like that. But I love my Steam Deck, and for the most part, it plays games like I want it to play. I'm concerned that the Switch 2 will not, especially with them going like to the digital download. Like you buy a game cart that doesn't have a game on it.
Yes, the authorization for it.
Yeah. But it's not a game cart. It's like you buy a physical thing that is like a code that allows you to download the game to your Switch.
Yeah, exactly. It's just it's just the license key
Yeah,
to say, hey, this is a valid copy of the game. That's all it is.
exactly. If I what why not just buy it off? It's the same thing as buying it off the store at that point
Yeah,
in time.
pretty much.
Yeah, so like I like collecting physical editions of games. I don't want to collect physical license keys for
Yeah.
games. I already have to do that with my PlayStation 5. I don't want to, and my PlayStation 4, I don't want to do that with my console. The reason I had a Switch and have a Switch is because the games are actually on the card.
Yeah.
And I buy them for that reason. We've never talked about the MIG Switch, and I probably never will. But I did buy one of those when it first came out with the intention of talking about it. And Nintendo like kind of shuts all the kibosh on those things pretty much. But I like the idea that I can take that cart, put it in that, and play it on an emulator on my Steam Deck. So like
Yeah.
I can carry my games with me. I don't have to carry my Switch Lite with me, and I can play those games with me as I'm like traveling around and stuff like that. If they're not like a Steam version that I can play. So like, I really don't get the Switch 2. I don't get it. I'm gonna have to wait until it comes out and put my hands on it. But like this whole pre-order shenanigans is just ridiculous. Like, why? This is like some sort of weird, craziness that has been created by a bunch of people that are just into. It feels greedy.
Oh, it's 100% greedy. The scalping is really out of control, and it's everywhere. Like my daughter's getting into Pokemon cards, and they scalp Pokemon cards.
Oh yeah.
Like, and they scalp them for investment. Like it's not even they're hoping they can get pulls and the cards will be valuable enough, which I don't think that's gonna last very long because it's ultimately just not true.
Yeah.
Like
not at all.
Sure, someone on eBay sold a card for like a certain amount, but like you're at a certain point, you're just they're Pokemon cards, man. Like, sure, the old ones, yeah. If you've got like cards that came out 20 years ago, maybe those are worth something to collectors. But just like the flavor of the month Pokemon cards, get out of here. My daughter has no desire for an allowance, right? She doesn't want to get $4 for cleaning her room for a week. She wants a pack of Pokemon cards. And it's easier just to hand her a pack of Pokemon cards and explain to her at her age she can use money to buy Pokemon cards. So like I just want to have like 6 Pokemon cards on my shelf, like little booster packs at any given time, so I can use them as rewards. Why am I having to go through dozens of Amazon listings and Walmart listings to find someone legitimately selling cards that haven't been pre-opened to check all the cards in and see if they're valuable and crap like that? It's like it's a pack of Pokemon cards, guys. Not everything has to be turned a quick buck.
That's why, unless I'm generally buying singles and I can't find them, I go to the local store and buy card packs because of stuff like that.
They're sold out. I couldn't get them local.
That's crazy.
Because there's so many scalpers.
That's crazy.
There's people waiting outside of stores and buying them. I watch videos of because some like places have like Pokemon vending machines that you just get the packs out of. There are people waiting for them. I watched one video of a guy who like worked in the store 10 minutes before it opened. They went in and bought all the Pokemon cards, like just an employee of the store, to scalp them. What are we doing here? People are getting it. Like Costco will let you buy them, but they have a limit on them, and like people were getting into fist fights out front of Costco over who got the Pokemon cards before they sold out.
That is crazy.
It's wild.
I'm glad that Magic is not as crazy.
Yeah, I guess like Pokemon, I guess blew up on YouTube and stuff like that. A bunch
Yeah.
of people did like card openings, but it's wild. It's
Well,
like, what's the
it's a
point?
big thing on TikTok too. Like I don't watch it; it's not my thing, but I know about it because of stuff that I read.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, ultimately, that is like the same sort of thing that's happening here with the Switch. I don't know. I'm not gonna buy one. I'm not gonna pre-order one. I might buy one after everything calms down. If I feel like there's enough there to interest me, I'm perfectly happy with my Switch. It's not the most powerful thing, but sometimes when I want to get that like kind of feeling of playing a Nintendo IP on Nintendo hardware, I'll play it, and I'm okay with it. I do prefer like the PC handhelds though. They're just better all around, I think. And my Android handhelds. I like my Odin 2 is an amazing gaming machine for like retro games and Android games and emulation, and it'll run Switch games better than the Switch will. So it's just a much better thing. Let's talk about happy news though.
Yeah.
Oblivion Remastered Shadow dropped
Yeah.
on Monday, was it?
I think it was either late Monday or early Tuesday.
Yeah.
I know because I got sick and I took Tuesday and Wednesday off, and I just tried to play some Skyrim. I was like, man, this really just isn't hitting. I gotta do something to do while I'm sick and resting, and I closed Skyrim because I was using a Wabbajack mod thing, and I opened up Steam, and it boom right on the Steam page. It's like Oblivion Remastered out now. I was like, guess I know what I'm doing today.
All right. So before we talk about the game experience, it's $60 roughly.
If you get the special edition, yeah.
Well,
I think it's 40 otherwise.
Was it 40?
I thought it was 40 for the base game and 60 for the.
I thought it was $49.99 for the base game and then $65 for the special edition. I might be wrong about that. Whatever. Okay, let's say at $40.
Mm.
Worth it at $40. Double check the prices.
Okay, I'm gonna double check the prices. We're at Steam right now.
Yep.
Remastered Steam. Okay. All right. No, you okay? We were kind of in the middle. It's $49.99, so essentially $50
$50
for the base game,
and
then it's $59.99, so essentially $60 for the remaster.
Okay.
Here's what I'm gonna say. I kind of do think it's worth it in two scenarios. You just never played it before, because it will just play like a new game, and I think it doesn't hold up perfect as a modern game, but it holds up really well with the new coat of paint it's got on it. And I think if you were someone who is really nostalgic and really liked Oblivion, I think it's worth it.
Okay.
I think if you maybe had played Oblivion before and you were like, it was okay, I don't think it's worth it to you. Right? Just go. It does look so much better. It does have some really nice enhancements. If you already own a copy of the game and you were just kind of like, I like to play it every now and then, you could mod it to a similar level of good. Right? It wouldn't be quite the same.
Yeah, it wouldn't look quite as good, but it would be roughly the same.
Yeah, and mechanically, in all honesty, it would be better because all the mods, because the mods have not truly come to the platform yet. They're getting there. Because essentially what this is it's an Unreal wrapper that does translate. It's actually two wrappers that talk through this layer to each other. So the base engine, all of that stuff is still the same, except for a couple bug fixes and small changes to the mechanics they've made, and the rest of the graphics engine. So a lot of mods for Oblivion do load and can sometimes work if you don't need the script extenders, and the things in the translation layer aren't overriding it. So people are still playing around with what those things are, but I think we'll figure it out. In all honesty, I think 6 months from now, there's a pretty lively modding scene, even if it's just taking mods from original Oblivion and just converting them into stuff for the remaster. But I don't know. Price wise, I do think it's worth it just because Oblivion is such a good game.
So, I was going to ask another question. I don't want to stop you from talking.
No,
about
you're good.
Oblivion
I answered your previous question.
Yeah.
Now you answer.
Well, no, I want to ask you one more before I answer.
Yeah.
If you own Oblivion, does that change your answer?
No, because I own Oblivion and have the 2,000 hours on it.
Okay. All right.
I think if you owned it and loved it, it's worth it. If you own it and you were just mid on it, I don't think it's worth it. Because you're still going to be mid on it. Because, there's been a couple small changes, but I don't think enough to radically change what the game is. So if you didn't love Oblivion the first time, you're not going to love it the second time. I think you'll like it more because the improvements are good, but you still won't love it. And at that point, why spend $50, $60 in a game you don't love?
Exactly.
Right? But if you're new to it and you want to try it out, I do think it really holds up as a good RPG. I think it's a better middle ground than Skyrim, because I complained a lot that I don't think Skyrim's a true RPG, because it does remove just so much RPG elements.
It's more of like a action game.
Yeah, you could call it an action RPG. I'd give you that. It's got a little bit to it. It's not a true role playing game.
But it's not really an action RPG either, because it's not like Diablo, where you're going and leveling up.
Yeah, but that's a big genre. You still you are leveling your character. You're picking your equipment. But what gets me in the role playing aspect is Skyrim. If we look at it in the transition to the series, something like Morrowind, you very purposely would have to do things for your character to be the head of everything.
Right.
I've been to every single guild and I've done all this stuff, right? it's actually not completely possible because some things do lock you out of
Right.
others. But like if you wanted to be Archmage of the Mages Guild and head of the Fighters Guild and head of the Thieves Guild, that's a big investment because you're required to have stats.
Right.
Like you can't be the head of the Fighters Guild and not have fighter stats. And they're not overly aggressive. Like one skill has to be very high, the other two kind of have to be in the middle. But you have to do an investment.
Right.
Oblivion kind of takes the route of, okay, we're going to put you in a lot of these scenarios. You have to do a lot of jobs that are like fiery type things if you want to be in the Fighters Guild. And, with the actual, like the morality system, some stuff does lock you out. Like I think, in all honesty, Shivering Isles is maybe one of the best DLCs ever made for a game.
Yes, absolutely.
But I really also like Knights of the Nine because it is very much a DLC for you're a good character.
Right.
You cannot be the Divine Crusader and then go do the Thieves Guild stuff without being abandoned by the artifacts.
Right.
And then, you can get back. You can go do the pilgrimage again, stuff like that. But, like, the morality system mattered. And it affects how people feel about you and, like, what you do. So, like, that was a good middle ground for me. And then we completely abandoned it in Skyrim. You can be the head of every guild in Skyrim and not know how to sneak. You very famously only ever have to cast in the Mages Guild the Ward in the beginning.
Right.
And the Fire and Frost spells to attune that machine, both of which are at the machine.
Right.
So, like, every spell you need to know is taught to you, and you only have to use them once. You could literally have 10 out of 100 in every single one of your magic stats and become the Archmage. That's kind of BS.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. You can't really do that in Oblivion, and definitely not Morrowind. Oblivion's that good middle ground. What killed Oblivion, terrible level scaling.
Yeah.
And you have all the RPG stats, but the leveling system is very archaic. It brought over from Morrowind. Leveling is much better in Skyrim. But I like the leveling in Oblivion Remastered now. Way better than any of their previous games. In fact, what they do now is actually what people mod into Skyrim.
Yeah.
Skyrim has a mod that does the same thing, that when you level up, you actually just get to assign your skill points and stuff like that.
Yeah, and in Oblivion, the original Oblivion, it didn't let you do all that stuff. All you got to do is pick what your, each level you could go and train 5 things.
No, it was worse than that. What happened in Oblivion
But you could train 5 things each level for Oblivion. This is the same it does now in the remaster, right? But you couldn't. So like if I went and I was able to go afford training lockpicking, let's say, or sneaking, right?
Oh yeah, that train thing. Sorry, yeah. So on that, yeah, you can train that stuff up. That's not what I was talking about. I mean, like mechanically how you level up.
Oh,
so like Skyrim, any skill you level up, like you increase, starts to level you up. In Oblivion, it was only your major skills. Minor skills did nothing.
Never did anything. Right.
Yeah, never did anything. So with the bad level scaling in that, and the way things like your attributes worked, what you would have to do is, like, let's say you're a mage. You're like a Breton mage, very classic. You're going to start with 30 endurance, which means every time you level up, you get 3 more HP.
Right.
And enemies scale fast.
Right.
Like sometimes 20 to 30 HP a level. So you can't be doing that. You got to get your own HP up. But to do that, you have to increase your endurance. And when you level up, you get to pick 3 attributes to increase that have multipliers based on what skills you used to level up.
Oh yeah.
So like if you're a mage and don't have any endurance skills and it was time to level up, you could go up by 1 endurance. Cool. Now I'm getting 3.1 HP per level. It's nothing. So what you would have to do, and because it's not retroactive like it is now in the remaster, is you would be like, okay, I'm a mage. Cool. I need to go find a heavy armor trainer. And I'll upgrade my heavy armor so that I can have endurance when I level up next time.
Yeah.
Or what a lot of people did, and this is really messed up, but it is actually one of the funner ways to play one of the original ones, is to do level 1 characters. Your attributes, like not your attribute, your major skills are things you'll never use. And then you just level up all your minor skills. You don't have to deal with any of the level scaling because everything stays level 1.
Everything stays at level 1, and you can play everything at level 1.
Yeah.
I mean, even now, like I was playing and kind of doing that, like where I'm just leveling up all of my skills. 'Cause that's the way I played before, right? Leveling up all of my skills, leveling up my agility by jumping, leveling up my endurance by getting hit, and all that other stuff. But I was doing it at level 1, and using my heal spell, but going out and fighting, Daedra.
Yeah, exactly. And it's more balanced that way in the old one. You can't do it now in the new one because your minor skills are your stuff, but you also don't need it.
Yeah.
Because you can now, because you're just investing points, you can be a mage and say, hey, I want more HP, and put 5 points in endurance. You didn't have to do all the heavy armor stuff.
Right.
And also, health is now retroactive.
Right.
So if you want to do 10 levels and not update your endurance, and now you're like, okay, now the HP gap's becoming a little bit more than I want to deal with, go level up that endurance. It'd be the same thing as you've done at level 1.
Right.
It's a very good, solid improvements. Level scaling, from what I've heard, I've not gone far enough in to see it myself. I've heard the level scaling of the enemies is still rough.
It's still pretty rough. It like you get to like level 10, and then suddenly like they're a lot more powerful than they were before.
Yeah, you get into different classes of enemies. Yeah,
I did the Hero of Kvatch thing.
Yeah,
and I did it at level 3 the first time.
Yeah.
But I like something got messed up, and I had to like redo it. But by the time I got there, I'd got myself to like level 5 or 6, and they murdered the people that came with me.
Oh,
like
yeah,
it was just a bunch of like it was like a bunch of Daedra, not just a bunch of scamps.
Yep.
And, like,
You probably got
just-
the Flame Atronachs and stuff like that.
Well,
yeah.
they always had the Flame Atronachs, but there was more of them.
Mhm.
There were the Daedra, the guys with the clubs,
Yeah.
and the mages that they bring from. It was not a pretty thing, and the only guy that survived was the guy that gives you the armor because he can't die.
Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise he would die.
I mean, it does get rough like that. I do think though it helps a lot now because the level is a lot better.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I got to get further in. I've made 3 characters. I don't think any of them got past level 10. As I'm just playing around and like learning how the different mechanics work. I'll say this right now: anyone who's thinking about playing it, hasn't started playing yet, or if you're thinking about making a new character, I think Morrowind was really a world of pure mages. Like, warriors were fun, things like that were fun, don't get me wrong. But if you really wanted to just truly feel like a god in Morrowind, you played a pure mage. Because the magic was just so powerful in that game. In like Skyrim, everybody knows the stealth archer.
Yep.
Memes everywhere. Oblivion is the game for spell swords.
Yeah.
It's so good. There's almost no reason to not have magic on a character because it's its own buttons. You don't have to unequip your other stuff. It's so nice just to be able to like run in, boom, cast your spell. Now with like the favorites menu that's so easy to bring up in the remaster, just put all your spells in there.
And like there's a good balance between archery and using swords too. So like if you need like you run out of magicka but you still need to hit something from a range, you can just like pop into your archery, bam, hit it, and then
and archery's good now.
Yeah, good.
Archery
not
used
bad.
to suck in
Yeah.
Oblivion. And it was just a projectile speed. I think that's the only thing they changed was the projectile speed. And I think they adjusted maybe some damage on arrows and stuff like that.
Also being able to run makes a huge difference now.
A little bit. I don't know. I actually don't find myself sprinting much.
I'm doing it all the time.
But I'm playing like heavy armor spell swords. So like it's not that big of a difference. I'll tell you what though, being able to sprint and then jump, that's going to be big because I'm already like skipping some puzzles. Like that's telling you there is another entrance, but actually, even though I shouldn't at 30 speed be fast enough to jump over this, I can do it now.
Yep.
So like it doesn't break anything because like you're fast when you get to 100 speed. It's just now, without investing in speed, you can start doing some of that acrobatic stuff that you couldn't before.
Yeah. I mean, it really is awesome. The way the dodge works now, I'm like, you could always like kind of dodge before, but like being able to like kind of zip to the side, left or right, works really functionally well. It's not like you don't have to like time it as much. It's just like kind of do it. I don't know. So I'm going to answer my question. Do I think it's worth $50 for the base game? You lose. So like if you have the other Oblivion games, the only thing that you really kind of lose out on is the soundtrack if you do the $60 game. I think that
you don't get the horse armor.
You don't get the horse armor and all sorts of other things like that. But you don't get any of the you don't get any of the cosmetic DLC.
You don't get the cosmetic DLC, but I think there's some missions you don't get too, isn't there?
Yeah, the new missions you don't get those too. I got the $60 one. I don't know that it was worth it. I already own Oblivion.
Yeah.
And I loved playing Oblivion. Like I played it all the time before Skyrim came out, and I love Skyrim too. Like I play Skyrim all the time. Sometimes I'll just go back and play it. Um, Even though I spent the $60, I would probably get it on sale. If
Yeah.
I'd wait for it to be like $20, and then like it just feels like an add-on to the existing Oblivion.
Mm.
But if you're like me and you're like I just have to play it, like
Yeah.
just have to play this because I gotta see what this is like, and I know Ricky's gonna get it, and I know our other buddies are gonna get it, and I'm gonna be the only one who's not playing it. This is the game that I have to play because I got to know, and all of us have got to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
Um, for me, it was worth it, but I don't think like if I was just a person who had Oblivion and I was gonna buy it, unless you're a person that looks at it like we do, I think that $20-$30 for like $20 for the base game, $30 for the expansion game is more like in the realm of what I'd want to pay for the game. Um, and I probably when it comes out on GOG, that's probably what the price point I'll look for because I'll probably buy it on GOG so that I have the like kind of DLC free, I mean the DRM free version of it. But I, from a standpoint of have I been having fun? Am I getting $60 worth of fun out of this game? Hell yeah, I am.
Yeah. In that realm, I think it's hard to beat because it's an amazing RPG. Where it really shows its age is mostly not in the mechanics of playing it. It's in like how you interact with some quests. Like the big one I always point out is like most people very early on, like as soon as you go to the Imperial Market District, start talking to people, you get the one about like the corrupt shop owner, and like you're supposed to follow him to his meetup with his supplier. But they won't have that conversation
unless you're right there.
Unless you're right there in the right spot, right there.
I know.
And I forgot about that, and I watched him sit there for like 2 hours in game time, so like 10 minutes real life or something like that. I was like, I'm really close. Did they see me? Is the reason they won't talk if they see me? And then you have to walk right in front of them and then they talk.
You don't even have to, like, it says to sneak, but you don't even really have to
You don't have to sneak. No, you have to follow him.
Just
so like some little things like that. But mechanically, like the new combat animations are fun. The combat's pretty solid. I do like the mix of might and magic with the separate magic button.
Yeah.
I'd say one of the fun things, I think what you can really do in Oblivion that you couldn't do in any other game is you can truly play an adventurer that makes their money from adventuring. I try and avoid the like alchemy loops and stuff like that to make money because dungeons respawn after 3 days. And is that a little immersion breaking? Kinda. I'm not gonna lie. If you clear out a huge cave of monsters and they're all back 3 days later, maybe that feels to some people a little, well, what was the point?
Well,
but also you can just now go kill a bunch more monsters and loot them, and like, oh hey, cool, I found marauders. They're in good armor. That's how I'm gonna make my money. I'm gonna go fight a bunch of bad guys in this dungeon and get my stuff and go back.
I get it. Like in Skyrim, you could clear a dungeon, and in a lot of other RPGs, you clear a dungeon, and it's like that becomes a static place in the world.
Yeah, or like Skyrim, it takes 30 days for it to respawn, and most people are not gonna. Most playthroughs are not too much longer than 30 games, like in game time.
But it'll also say cleared on the thing.
Yeah, it'll say cleared, and it'll eventually reset. But like, you're not gonna go back to that dungeon and do something in it.
Right.
Whereas in Oblivion, like everything respawns except statically placed items.
Right.
So like if there's like a quest item or like a super important thing that doesn't come back, but like the food all comes back, so you can collect ingredients. The enemies all come back that you can fight. Like I love going into a cave and seeing like what's in there. Like goblins, maybe I'll get some lock pits. I'm not gonna get that too great from goblins. Oh, imps. I mean, 15 gold for like an imp drop. There are gonna be like 20 imps in here. That's a decent amount of money,
Yeah.
And when the level scaling does go up, this is again a thing other people don't like, which I get as well. Eventually, the just random people in caves have like in-game level equipment too.
Right.
But that's a part of the little like, okay, but now I'm making more money, and now I'm getting my. I love that merchantile now is not based on interaction.
Yeah.
God, merchantile was the worst thing in the world.
It was the worst. And the weird, like, you have the way that you get yourself to 100 like from somebody is by buying stuff. from them or like doing a thing with them.
Oh yeah, the more you interact with people, like the more the stuff goes up. I actually really like the speechcraft minigame.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm saying. Like, so like the speechcraft minigame, you can get them up to like 75. But like a merchant, you go in and you're like, hey, I want to buy from you, and like let's haggle some and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That increases every time you're successful. That increases their like for you, and it that's cool and everything like that. You get to 100 on a merchant, but it's really hard to get that with like a commoner because you don't have that same like level of interaction.
Your personality is just not high enough. Your max disposition is capped on, I believe, racial modifiers. So like people of your own race like you a little bit more, and then also what your personality is.
Right.
So if you don't invest in personality, you're capped in like some places you're not going to be able to get higher than like 50.
50, yeah.
But as you get more personality and also fame, that's another thing that's really nice about the morality system is both sides of that scale benefit certain NPCs. So like if you're really infamous, bad characters like you more.
Yeah.
If you're really famous, good characters like you a lot more. And then there's your guild reputation, stuff like that. So like you can by like not too far in, you can get people up to 100% like disposition if you really want to. There's just not a lot of benefit to it except for
merchants.
And stuff. There's like some quests that I think if the disposition's high enough, they'll like tell you more and stuff like that. But it's not huge in the world.
Oh yeah, like the captain of the guard, the corrupt captain of the guard quest. Do that. Like it's hard to get people to talk to you unless they're like over like 70 or something like that. Yeah. I don't know. Okay, so it's worth it. The game's fun. We can just sit here and go on and on about how like it's been updated. And I agree. I'm about 20 hours into one of my runs, and I might be 23, and I'm like 3 or 4 hours into a second run because I messed up, and I was just messing around with the game, and I like entered something into the console at one point in time, and it like disabled my achievements, and I was like, I'm gonna have to start all over again. But it's not hard to get back to the same sort of spot.
It's not hard to get back to the same sort of spot, and I also, quite frankly, I think a mandatory mod for everybody is getting like an achievement unlocker.
Yeah,
that won't prop that down, because I do think all Bethesda games, I'm not even gonna say just Oblivion, it's all Bethesda games, have enough bugs that sometimes you want to be in that console.
Yeah, you need to like advance. That's what I was trying to do. Like I thought that one of my quests was stuck, and I was trying to like get it to be unstuck, and I was trying to figure out what was going on. Turned out it wasn't, but like that was.
Yeah, well, I mean it's a little bit better now because of how often you autosave. You used to only autosave when going into exterior cells. So like if you left a city, you would save there, but you wouldn't save like
going into a room or something like that.
So if you're in like a 4-level dungeon, you'd go back to the start of the dungeon. That's not good.
No.
We don't want that. So more autosaves now is good, but like I soft locked a character. Ultimately, I saved 30 seconds before then because it was just after I entered somebody. But it was in the Imperial sewers where they've got those gates.
Yeah.
And when you turn it, you don't know which gate's moved. So I turned a gate, went to go find out what it was, but it did the gate that was right next to me. So I got stuck in between the two gates. And so you can't get out. And I was like, I'm just stuck in here. And if I hadn't saved for a long time, I absolutely would have opened the console and done, toggle collision and just walked out. But that would have again disabled achievements. You can find yourself, you get stuck between rocks and stuff like that. So I do think everybody should, if you care about the achievements, put on one of those things.
Yeah.
Because you can not cheat. Like it's Steam achievements. Who cares?
Yeah.
Like you can not turn on God mode. You can control that. But at some point, you're probably going to want to turn off collision. Collision's a big one.
Collision is a huge one. And that's what I thought was wrong. I thought the character that I was trying to like get to the quest, they had like collided with something and couldn't move, and I was gonna like try to like get them unstuck.
Place them with you,
yeah. And but then like I figured out that that wasn't the case. They were waiting for me to do something.
Yeah.
But I had opened up the console, and evidently I just like hit a button in it, and that like disabled all my.
I think just opening up the console might do it. I don't think you have to hit anything.
Well, that's possible. I don't know. Well, it said no. It said on the thing, entering any command.
Okay, maybe you have to enter one.
So, but I think I like did a tilde and enter.
Yeah, just hit enter. Yeah,
exactly. And it just entered the command, and there goes my achievements. But whatever. Is it? in a single player game, is it really cheating?
I never really thought it was a problem. It's Steam achievements. Who cares?
Yeah, who cares? That's not cheating. It's not
You know?
like you're setting the world record for Donkey Kong or something like that.
But I mean, like, even if you were like, yeah, but I would just mean like Steam achievements have no monetary value. There's
Right.
nothing. There's no point to them, except to like show off and do stuff. Is it really that big a deal? I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't see it. I mean, I'm also not one of those people that hunt achievements. So maybe to those people it really does matter, and they would be pissed if like 100% of players had something super hard because you could just cheat it or whatever.
Oh.
But like, still, to just lock people out. Look for people actually cheating. Like, how much harder is it to have like just the system of like, hey, you did a thing that is supposed to take like 100 hours. You know, you collected all the MacGuffins, and it's been 30 seconds.
You did it in 30 seconds. You can't do that. Yeah.
You jumped up from having 10 of 100 items to 100 of 100 items immediately. No 11 or 12. We caught you.
Speaking of that, you know, there's a lot of bugs in.
Mm-hmm. Any Bethesda game, 100%. The engine itself is buggy.
One of the funniest bugs that they have in Oblivion is the item duplication bug.
Yeah.
And I mean, basically just kind of ran into that like 5 times within like the first like 10 minutes of the game. I like had like 30 arrows, and I like moved them from one slot to another, and I was getting something out of a thing, and then suddenly I had 30 like leaks.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And I was like, oh, this still works? Okay.
Yeah, they left a lot of the fun bugs in. They even left like some of the like messed up recorded lines in. They kind of get some of its charm, which is nice. I'll say it's really the item duplication bug is really fun because I know about it, but I've also never had it happen. Because like the things that it makes the most sense to do them with is exactly like what you're saying, like arrows, lockpicks, things you get a lot of, things that are light. But also, those are the best things to sell for money.
Right.
So even if I'm not playing an archer, I'm just picking up every arrow. I'm never putting them somewhere. They're staying in my inventory because they're worth more money per pound than almost any other item. So I'm just taking them to sell them. And like, I didn't know about the bug for like 5 years. I was like, how I put 2,000 hours and just never once run across it. But like in your situation, you ran across it in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I ran across 2. One where I put an item on a thing because I was just trying to get it out of my...
you put it in a container. Yeah.
I put it in a container, and it created 3 of them. It just created 3.
Yeah, because you put it on top of another item in the container.
Right.
Yeah.
But then I did a thing where I had 150 arrows, and I put it on top of a leak, just like moved it over.
Yeah.
And it created 150 leaks.
Yeah, into the container, yeah.
No, it created 150 leaks in my backpack. It moved them out of the container and into my backpack.
Oh, yeah, they were in the container. You drop them into, when you're going in and out of a container, if you drop items on top of each other, they'll duplicate.
Yeah, and it was just like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
But one was just, I took one Warhammer and moved it. I didn't even I just hit A, and it just moved it. I didn't move it over on top. It just created like 3 of them.
Oh, interesting. That might be a new one.
It did it in a very specific place, in a very specific, but you can do it over and over and over again.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's still buggy. It's still a mess. If you get this game, play it till your heart's content. You will not be disappointed.
Yeah.
If you don't like Oblivion, don't get this game because it is more of the same.
It is the same
better.
Game.
It's a better version of the game. It is the definitive version of the game.
Yeah, I'll give you that. It is essentially some very light mechanic reworks, like very light, equivalent to maybe like 3 or 4 mods if you had original Oblivion, and then just a much better graphics wrapper.
Yeah.
But everything else is the same.
Yeah.
And so that's why I was real hit on like, if you loved Oblivion, it's totally worth it because it does take away a lot of the janky feeling of Oblivion. Like it feels like a modern game.
Yeah.
But if you didn't like the mechanics of Oblivion, you're not. Apart from level up, you're not gonna like what's going on here.
You're not gonna like it, so don't get it. But if you liked Oblivion, get this game. It improves Oblivion in every way.
Yeah.
So you took my Miyoo Flip home.
I did.
And did you play any of it?
I did. Yeah.
Give me your impressions. That's what I want to hear. That's our last topic.
So I really liked it. I think you made a great point last time when we talked about these, where you were saying, because I liked the little handheld one.
Yeah, the
A30.
A30.
They're all handheld, but yeah, the one that looks like the little Nintendo controller.
Or the A10. Yeah. The other Miyoo, that's the small one.
Yeah. And you were like, that screen is a little hard to read text on. I was like, you know what, you're right. I didn't really play any text games. did play some text games on this one. I do not remember the names. I just kind of like bounce around your preloaded games, and it was a very pleasant experience. I mean, it was a lot like having a Game Boy Flip. You know, I know you said that it has some hinge issues that they're working on, but in all honesty, once they get that fixed, that might be what I grab because I mean, it's in my pocket right now. I came here with it. I didn't know if you'd want to take it out to like look at it when we were talking about it, and it's a good little device.
Yeah, it is. It's a great device. I mean, even the Ambernick one that's bigger is a lot of fun, and it's self-protecting. So you can just like throw. It's like a Game Boy Advance SP. You can just throw it in a bag. It's got all the charm of that. Plus, it can play up to PlayStation 1. There's no downside on it essentially, and the screen's a little bit bigger than something like the A30, or is it the A10? No, it's an A30. Yes, the Miyoo A30, which is a vertical handheld, but it just kind of sets you up like that. I like it a whole lot. I think it's a great thing. It's a good buy. We're going to talk more about more handhelds later on in the season, but just I wanted to get your impressions of that one. So yeah, I mean you can carry it around with you and play on it. I'll teach you how to get new games on it, like at some point. So you can just put whatever you want to on it. But I think that's the end of our. Do you have anything else you want to say about the Miyoo?
No, it's fun. I mean, probably at some point, maybe it will end up being next season. I'll probably take it on like a trip and have it for a week and really talk about it. Like, how was it on the plane and all that.
Well, you could take it like this time.
Yeah. Well, I just mean like I won't have that experience until we're probably done recording for this season. So sometime next season we can talk about what it was like to.
We're going through during the break. So we'll come back.
Okay, that's true.
We'll come back.
Don't know my own podcast. I was thinking that would be a new season, but you're right. It's just the second half.
It's the second half of the season. Yeah, we'll take that month break and then we'll come back. So you'll be able to talk about it this season.
Yeah, there we go.
All right. Well, then, thank you so much for listening. This has been Season 8, Episode 5 of the Beer and Broadband Podcast. I will get the date right this time. It's May 12th, 2025. So that's the date it's slated to come out. Otherwise, thank you so much for listening. We'll catch you next time. Oops, I did forget something. I forgot to talk about the beer. So this is like a special extra at the end of the thing that we're going to talk about. Ricky, like,
yeah, you know how like they tell you like don't advertise your goals because then like you're less likely to do them. I feel like the episode I called out, our thing now is just trying it again at the end. We didn't do it. Yeah. So I'll let you after you've tried it. It's good warmed up. In all honesty, I don't think it's better. It is different. There is a lot more of that kind of like oat and especially the raisin. I think really comes out when it's warmed out.
Yeah, definitely.
Still not a cookie, but it's still really good. I actually don't know which one I prefer. I think in all honesty, this is probably a drink that I would like to drink outside on like a spring or summer day. Get it cold, get like a 16 ounce, and then just drink it as it heats up. Because I took sips of it throughout. At no point did it ever become bad. Its flavor profile changed in more like different good ways.
Yeah, it becomes more stone fruity at the end, with a little bit extra bitterness. So like it really kind of depends on what you like. This is a well-made beer. Wicked Weed always makes good stuff. Get it, drink it. I don't have anything bad to say about it. I think as far as like it tasting like a cookie. If I was going to say it tasted like a cookie, warmer tastes more like a cookie than cold.
Yes. I still think it tastes a lot more like oatmeal with raisins in it than it does necessarily an oatmeal cookie because it doesn't have that like toastiness to it from a cookie. Yeah. But you can definitely taste the raisin and the oats a lot more when it's warm.
Yes, definitely. It's just cookies don't taste bitter generally. And like it would be like if you had like a dark chocolate cookie that had like coffee in it or something like that, like and that's just not a normal thing. So I think that's why it kind of throws you off.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's the end of the podcast for this week. So sorry guys. Thanks for listening. Bye.